Hey there, my name's Niandra, and I want to go through the most recent PTR patch note. As a heads up, I have skipped a couple of heroes because I thought their changes were fine and I didn't have anything else to say. Since I'm a Mercy channel, let's start with her. The extra beams created by Valkyrie now ignore enemy barriers. I'm gonna be honest, and I think a lot of people will agree with me, I never noticed them not going through. I always assumed they did and should because Mercy's ordinary beam does go through shields. I initially thought this might be a bug fix disguised as a buff, so I did some digging. In this video from last November, you can see my beam on both Doomfist and Rhine, but it does break off the ladder, so I guess it's been this way for a while. The cynical part of me wants to say this isn't exciting because Valkyrie should have always worked this way, but truthfully, I'm actually pretty hyped for this if it genuinely is a buff because I've had a lot of great damage boost heavy Valkyries lately and now they'll be even better. With Anna still possibly weakened by the number of shields and a nerf to Moira, Mercy's actually looking pretty good at the moment. The buffs to Winston, Deva and Tracer indicate there's a possibility Dive might return in future, and I think this Valkyrie will complement it nicely. As for Mercy in general, I'm still pretty happy with her current state. As I've said before, I'm really liking her with Anna, Moira and Baptiste. These compositions let me do heavy damage boost and the lack of defensive ult is often okay in this meta. However, my results have been a lot more mixed while running Mercy with Lucio, Zen or Brig. At this point, if my second healer picks Zen or Brig, I just go Moira because previous experience has taught me that Mercy is just not going to be enough healing. Now, this might be those two struggling in this meta, which I feel they are, or it might indicate that Mercy's healing output isn't quite good enough for 2-2-2, which will be a problem for her if the meta demands one main healer, one off healer. Okay, let's move on to Symetra, whose ultimate has been decreased by 3 seconds and health reduced by 1,000. The first part's kind of fair, but the second's a little weird. Personally, I've never seen people try to destroy the wall outside of EMP or Hog ult, and I don't know if 1,000 less health will encourage it, especially when it's up for less time now anyway. Don't get me wrong, I love Symetra's ult, but after this meta, I'm starting to wonder if it's healthy for a DPS or rather non-tank to have a stationary shield. This season, I've seen Orisa, Sigma, Symetra shields all out at once, double if you count the enemy team, and the game ends up looking like such a mess. Symetra gets ammo back from hitting shields, which makes her a shield breaker while also providing a shield based ult, which, I don't know, I think that's a little odd. Looking at her other nerfs, I gotta be honest, a part of me feels like Blizzard don't really know what they want Symetra to be, especially since she's been nerfed so quickly after not seeing much play for so long. Moving on, let's talk Doomfist, who's received 2 nerfs. I know a lot of people are happy about this, myself included. Listen, I get it. Doomfist has been super good in Season 18 because there's shields everywhere along with sustain, and he can just ignore that. Plus, a lot of his counters struggle to get value against double shield. It's not his fault half of the DPS roster can't do much. As I said on Twitter, if Doomfist is nerfed, double shield will dominate even more, so Blizzard have to hit that first or both, which they kinda did this patch. My issue with Doomfist is that his kit is largely designed to be all or nothing, feast or famine. Because of this, it's really hard to find middle ground of balancing where he isn't either overbearing or complete trash, like usually someone's going to end up frustrated. Because of this, I personally support the idea of reworking him into a tank and moving him away from the one-hit kill aspect. Moving on, I want to look at Deva and Winston together. With Deva, good to see anti-goats nerfs being looked at. As for Winston, I don't think his barrier often lasted 6 seconds, let alone 9, but the extra health is nice and I'm glad they threw him a bone. My main concern is that neither Reaper or Mei would touch this patch and both of them shut down dive tanks pretty well. In fact, Reaper and Mei might be more desirable now with Doomfist weakened. Moving on, it's Lucio with some increases to speed boost, both normally and during Amp It Up, plus a nerf to wall riding. I am happy about this. I always felt his current speed boost felt very lackluster after being nerfed in an attempt to hit goats, a composition most of the player base never experienced. It's also an extremely minor buff to Reinhardt, who's always benefited from speed helping him close gaps. He's probably still going to be outclassed by the other shield tanks, but hey, it might be handy later down the line. Also, do you know what else the speed buff means? Lucio Ball might be less tedious next year, and God bless, because it felt so slow this year. Next, Sigma, and I feel like the nerf to his ultimate is pretty fair. Personally, I really want to see the slowdown after you've slammed back down to the floor lessened, or even better, just removed. I feel like it's a very frustrating aspect, and the ultimate already has a lot going for it. There's also a few changes to the shield, such as a second cooldown after recall, and I totally called them doing this. I think it's fair because before there wasn't really any punishment for a badly placed shield. Initial 0.2 cast time being removed is also pretty nice in my opinion. It might make it easier to block Earth Shatters and flicking the shield behind you to cancel Sombra's hack, although it will be more committed. And last of all, Baptiste, with Immortality Field getting a 50 health reduction. This is really interesting because it means a lot of abilities will now take one less shot to destroy it. For example, Dragon Blade is 120 per swing, and now that's going to take 2 hits instead of 3. And there we go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this short little rundown. Feel free to check out my Patreon where I'm doing Mercy VOD reviews as a $5 reward tier, and have a nice day.